106th Facebook Live at the scene. Today is July 19th, 2020. OK， 今天是第105集啊，脸书直播，澳洲警方迫害我和我的孩子啊，那个脸书直播的105集。OK， 今天我们仍旧是在悉尼套。
All of them? Not all of them. Come on.
18 years is all of them.
Huh?
18 years ago. They all of them is persecuted me. Yeah, and they made me to become to be international terrorist. And then
So up here, I put some Australian police are evil. You're making a statement that says,
no so serious. 是，现在只要传出 ，Can you understand the Mandarin? 对，只要能够传出去，因为现在连警察都不让来录，他们都不能来录，那他们都在帮他帮我拿东西，因为我不让他们，因为当然they are new.
But that's why you put some.
Some, you put some.
No.
I understand what you mean.
When you're out here saying this, I'm not sure this one, but I understand because there are good police and there are bad police. There are good teachers, bad teachers. But yeah, this one here is a.
I am international terrorist. 18 years ago, they made on me. They set up on me. Who did it?
They set you up as a terrorist.
International terrorist. Because come Taiwan. So it's a terrible thing. And they are bitch, you know, who could done it? It's a very, very top one of police how to say chief, yeah, it's top one, yeah. And they are bitch. I'm very honest and a businessman, jeweler, yeah. I run the jeweler, yeah, like a leather shop. And for me, all of surrounding people who surround around me, all of good, you know. And why they can do it? But now, I say, I don't have, I can't prove it, you know, because they made it, you know. But the whole story of my story and come out, and we can see what they do. Yeah, it's why, including Australia policemen and overseas policemen, all of them join together to persecute me.
Do you have a pen?
I have pen. I have.
Did you have a pen? A pen?
Pen.
Yeah. Can I fix it?
You fix it well.
Can I put some?
Just
some.
a moment. Yeah, but put here it's no good. I understand some, but not. If you put some, it's not strong word here. I understand.
I know you want to be strong.
Yes.
Because I am a fireman, and I have friends that are police that have big families and look after and do a very good job. But I understand that there are some Australian police that are evil. And I just think that when you have the statement, Australian police are evil, it's bullhau. It's not correct.
That time is correct. All of the policemen, all of the in Australia, because it is the top one who did the work.
So the Chinese president, is he Hao or bullhau?
Chinese,
Yeah, is the Chinese president?
Good and
Chinese
no good.
president.
Is he Hao or bullhau?
Chinese,
Good is all no good.
Chinese.
Good is
I
no
don't
good.
know.
Okay. Because if the Chinese, we ask, is the Chinese president Hao or Hao? Does that mean if he's Hao,
It's okay.
does that mean everybody underneath him is Hao? No.
But
Even though he's Hao, these other people can be Hao. So that's why I just want to put a little bit here, little bit.
you say
In this corner, little bit.
It's
Huang ya, little bit. Come, little bit.
it's difficult to explain because I want to make the things flow out, you know. And if you write some words in here,
Just some, little one.
I
One
know,
word.
but people can explain something. But if because I want policemen arrest me, you know, and charge me, and
But if they do that, you give me a call. I put my number and you call me. And I help you. But I need to put some. Huang ya.
don't do it. Because
One word.
it's difficult to explain something because I want to they arrest me. Then all of
It's
the
your dad, your father. Your dad.
my father
Your
said-
father. Your
my
father, was he Hao or Fu Hao?
father
Was he a good man or a bad man? So?
because the father is okay.
Are you a good man?
I'm good.
Is
I'm
that-
very good. Because I like
Because your dad?
and
Because
no,
your choice.
no, myself.
Yeah.
And because I like to help people. Yeah. And
And that's the thing. There are some police that want to help people and are making good decisions like you.
but I want to like good and no good policeman and who arrest me
Yeah.
right now. I want them.
But we
arrest me.
need to put their names and identify them. You cannot catch it. So can I put one word? Some, little, small word here.
You know, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
This is
It-
Fu
the-
Hao. It's Fu
the
Hao.
pe- because I want good one and no good one. All of them are Hao. You know why? They can arrest me, you know.
Yeah.
They also charge me because I don't need to spend the lawyer fee, you know, if they arrest me and charge me. And in court, I can make all of the truth out. If I want, because I said my children, you see, is why my children will be able, but they can see. And I tell you one thing, and policemen and me, we don't have any hatred. Yeah, hatred. We don't have. Yeah, and they don't know me. I don't know them. And I'm not a bad man. So they don't need to persecute me. Yeah? And another thing, and especially NNB Bank is the biggest bank in Australia. They don't need to store my $30,000 in 2004. Why? Because not the manager stole my money. It's the bank stole my money. Why bank belonging to who?
So
I say,
can I write it on? I'll write it on the inside.
who is behind of that? Who is only
I'm gonna put it on the back here. Can I write it on the back?
and then I send, please. I send.
I'm gonna write it here.
Just a moment. I take off for you. Please. You make me hard.
No.
等一下，你这样不要打蝴蝶结，我不是讲不要打蝴蝶结，也不要打蝴蝶结。Where do you want to hear?
So I put
I know some. I know.
because I agree,
I know.
but
some.
we cannot forget the good people, good teachers, good doctors, good police, good firemen. We cannot forget
Let me
them
tell you.
because there are some bad people out there.
Let me ask you one thing.
Fine.
If police, the chief of the police, and department, and if he say he order all of the police around Australia, this guy is terrible, is terrorist, international terrorist. All of them start to persecute her. Oh,
Yeah, but tell me this. In the war, there's soldiers, yes? and the soldier knows that this soldier needs to attack this soldier, yeah, because their leader is saying destroy.
Yes. Yeah.
However, there are lots of stories of soldiers here helping these soldiers here. So even though the boss is saying kill them, destroy them, people like you and me, we still have minds and we still have hearts and we still make decisions to protect and look after people. So if this man says, I want you to go punch him in the face, you can choose to,
Yes,
or you cannot choose
I
to.
tell you.
There are people that choose not to. And that's why we've got to remember,
No.
yeah?
Let me tell you. So now, why I want policemen who arrest me and
Yeah.
charging? Because I want to know why they time 18 years ago. Why they got the information? I am very bad man.
Yeah.
I want to know this truth. I don't care now punish them or something. Yeah, punish as a policeman. Yeah, who persecute me that time. I don't care about that. I just want why that time you have got the information about I am very terrible person. It's a reason. So all of the policemen can unite together and prosecute me. And I tell you, 18 years ago, 20 years ago, I went to Queensland, went to Brisbane. I live in a hotel in city. I live in the hotel. Do you know something happened? Yeah. And my telephone, not the mobile, it's a room, hotel's rooms, telephone. And I can't use the telephone, Yeah. Okay. This one, I can't talk to people. But the next time, if I use mobile, it's very expensive this time. Yeah, the mobile fee for one call is very expensive. So I have to use the inside home, inside phone. Yeah, because inside phone 20 cents for call. Yeah. So that time I use more hotel's phone. I can use it and I complain to manager. And manager complain 26万，26万死掉打人我死掉。Okay, change to another room. Move to another room. 死掉。And the manager took me to the their how to say phone line phone room. Yeah. And he asked me and she checked everything. No problem. Only my phone. They change new phone. They change new room. They change something. I can't use the phone. Okay. And the manager who tells me, and two choice. One choice, move to another hotel. I repay the money to you. Another choice, and you still that. Yeah, you have to that. Yes, because I can't fix it for you. And I tell you, this is not the one case. Many cases. That time, many strange things happen.
We need big things. I need to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's and all of the policemen, they listen to the top one.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. No, I've got to go. If you get stuck, I know lots of policemen that will help you help other policemen.
And I don't.
So that's why I said some Australian police help you, because I know some good people that will help.
Because all of policemen who was last year, I hate them. Arrest me right now, charge me, because I don't need to pay lawyer. And all of lawyer who scare you police, so I can't get anyone. And I don't have money pay for that. And I said, if you charge me, arrest me and charge me, and then all of the truth will come out in court. And why? That time, 18 years ago, my English is no good. Now my English here is not.
Your English is how? 懂不懂？
懂。
懂。 But look, listen. Here, this here. So
Okay,
this
I
is
understand some.
This is why.
I know your words.
Some.
I know your words.
朋友，I gotta go. 再见。
So,
再见。再见，朋友。
Okay, I already been here out here for over 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I will keep going for 1 day. Arrest a policeman who want to open the bar because policemen who say you even if it is happened 18 years ago, you still can open the.
The thing is this. Okay. So you can have the sign, and you can do your filming, and you can be angry and upset.
I don't do
That's fine. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're wasting your life. Why don't you? Huh? Don't waste it. You've got. Go help people.
Because this is persecution.
Yeah.
Case.
Change it. Don't stand here. Change it.
Policeman, 18 years ago, you know.
That's a long time ago.
I said, from
Let's
next
change it.
time,
Let's change it.
from
Let's change it.
next time to today, never stop police. Even I went to Thailand, you know what they have? Independent and no independent. So they are fighting. People fight together. And I'm not because I don't want to war. So he said, and so I'm not a supporter.
So what are we going to do? Let's change it. Because this world is full of bad people. You can't just stand here and say people are bitches. You've got to change it. What are we going to do? What are you going to do?
Let me tell you.
What are you going to do? Fix it. You've got to fix it. So we need to take this off and let's change. Make change.
And I can get even now. My daughter and son, they can accept the truth. They can see me. They say, baby, you have to very up get up and reach. And otherwise we can talk to you. You know, we can come to see you because mother they can't accept the truth. They say in society you are criminal vehicle. Mother is evil. And for us, they don't have a future, you know.
We'll do it. We'll pray for you, okay? 再见，朋友。That's okay.
You say you want to be English. And then it's my.
谢谢。再见。谢谢。
OK。来，帮我，来，哦，下面先解开，下面。来，我辅导，你现在只要，你只要不要用那个蝴蝶结，你打蝴蝶结，我说我找不到头，你不打蝴蝶结，我可以找到头。Yeah, let's see. All they call are beach and hangman. Yes. They murder my and my children's life. And I show to you. And the National Bank are thief. They stole my money, $30,000. They are bitch. No, I ask police.
I never entered.
Just a gentleman is nice. She said, I don't blame all of the policemen. I just did a complaint to some of policemen, not all of the policemen. 好吧，很好了嘛。好，你来。我现在来回答一下。等一下，我们到这边来。主要你。 Would you give me support? Yeah, I did that. Read the word. Thank you very much. 来，到这边来。刚刚啊刚才有一个年轻人走过去，这个洋人蛮帅的帅哥一个年轻帅哥他会讲中文但是讲多少不知道，应该会讲蛮多的他学会中文就对了。他那边当我还是跟他讲的英文嘛那现在就是说，他说他希望在我这边加一个上不是澳洲警察都是坏的要写一些澳洲警察，所以他要加上我跟他说不要加在这边，加这边不好看你这样加的话，这个我说很奇怪，很难解释。还有一点，这个纸会破破就换新换新不就是要弄掉 ？OK， 无论如何跟他谈了一下，然后因为他讲说，不是所有的警察都是这样，所以你必须要写一些警察，然后我要控诉的是一些警察在这边，但我就告诉他，我说今天谁是一些警察？最重要一件关键是 top one 是警察的 chief 这是很重要的我说今天最大的警官他把我设计成 international terrorist 就是国际恐怖分子把我设计成这样，然后可以发动所有全面性的警察让我死。这个东西很多事件在发生我举一个，我就随便举一个了，因为他讲说，他告诉我一件事情，为什么我要举例呢？因为他告诉我什么事，他说每一个人都有他自己的思维的，就好像说我们在外面军队在外面作战，这一股军人跟那一股军人，两国军人互相支援干什么？还有说他们要杀一个人的话，叫这军人下去杀人，那个军人要去杀，这个军人想着不对，我们不能做这个事我们会抗命，我们不会去执行，对，所以说每个人都有他自己的判断的，所以不是上面下达什么命令我们就做什么。我说对，这件事情我就告诉你了。是，现在我说我要他们起诉我，开庭，把所有事情弄出来。弄出来是什么事情弄出来？我要知道在当时我到底是什么样一个坏蛋，这一点我要知道的。我不在意处不处罚他们了，我说我不在意，但是最重要一件事，我要知道当时他们得到什么讯息，我是个大坏蛋，这个是关键，我要的是这个。然后他问我说，中国的领导等一下再讲我爸爸好人坏人中国领导人好人坏人。我先把刚才那个延下去，后面我就举个例子给他听。我说我告诉你是全面是发动，连国外都在发动全部来围剿我。现在我讲一件事今天我到了布里斯本，我住在旅馆里面我住在旅馆里面，我的电话不能用我跟着那时候电话很贵2000年的时候，那时候20年前那个时候19年20年前就18年前那时候电话费是很贵的，这个手机费是非常贵的，电话还好，电话一通电话20 cents 就对了，2毛钱一通电话2毛钱，后来是不是4毛钱我忘了反正那时候一通电话2毛钱，不管你讲多少电话都是2毛钱，所以那时候一定要打4类电话的，没有人会去用手机去打的，手机只有在外面做生意的人必须要用到手机的，所以必然用用4类电话在打。所以我到的布里斯本的话，我去住旅馆，我一定用4类电话在打的，可是我没有办法用4类电话，因为那时候有手机的人也很少嘛，手机太贵，有手机的人非常少所以说不管怎么样，打回店里，打回家里，打回哪里，还有打朋友干嘛，通通都是用的4类电话。可是4类电话拿起来一讲话，叽叽喳喳，叽叽喳喳，叽叽喳喳，噪 噪音很严重，根本没办法听。这个时候跟经理柜台 complain， 柜台后来叫经理，他没办法处理的时候叫经理，经理来，当时前面柜台帮我换那个什么嘛，换电话机嘛，很简单的事啊。那电话机出问题了，有这现象啊，换电话机啊，换完了之后，哎没用，然后没有用的经理来了，然后经理带我说啊，这样换房间，把我换到房间了，换到房间也没用，换电话换房间搞了半天，折腾了好几个钟头都没有用。他带我去电话那个什么机柜里面都是那个电话线里面那个打开我看，你们通通没有用。最后他跟我说一件事情，他也就有2个选择，一个就是搬走，到别家旅馆去，然后退钱给我就对了，让我走啊。另外一个就是我必须忍受，也就住在这里。所以我讲，那是谁能够做得到的事情，谁能够搞的事，就像我们店里面在搞我一样，啊，我在店里面电话就第一下开第二下，根本没法跟你讲话，就这件事情，谁能够搞的政府，谁能够下的命令，澳洲警方能够下的。所以今天你能够让电信公司，让国家的电信公司，那时候还没有私人 mobile 这些，还没有这些东西 ，mobile。像我们手机这些线路都是天空上的线路，哎，室内电话线是那个什么哎，是谁装的？那都是国家政府装的，那些是干扰不到，那些只有在那个电讯公司的机房里面才能够动得到的，啊，才能够干扰得到。那谁能够下这个命令？他必然要政府去下这个命令才能够这样做。那为什么他们要做这件事情？所以我说，我不惩罚，18年过去了，算了，我重新开始。但是我希望他们警方立刻逮捕我、起诉我、开庭，把所有的真相弄出来。当时发生什么事？还有一件事情就是，为什么他们要联合起来，要全面下达啊，要整死我，要迫害我？我不用追讨他们的责任，没有关系。我认栽，没有问题，啊，算是我生命中碰了一个大劫。干嘛？我也认了，从一个有钱成功的珠宝商，今天可以拥有一个偌大的企业的，但是没有机会了，啊，但是没有关系，只要他们开了庭了，把当时的情况，我到底坏到哪里去了？能够危害到什么样社会？危害到什么地步？能够他们要用这种方式来对付我，来搞死我 ？OK， 这样我就满足了，啊，可以了。这样后面的真相出来，我跟我孩子也不见面了，也能团聚。我后面不管怎么样，我后面就算不做事业，干什么养老的干什么的话，也就罢了，啊，就算领养老金的话。啊，也没有关系了。但是一件事情，我现在刚刚讲到，他中间一个插曲，他在问我说，因为他讲上就是一些警察，不是全部的。然后我说很简单一件事情啊，既然是我说这个东西很难解释干什么，然后他跟我说，那中国的领导人，你说他是好的还是 good or no good 啊？好的还是坏的？我说，啊。问我这问题 ，OK， 我说，后来我要说，因为他这问题的话，啊，因为他现在澳洲这边有个氛围嘛，啊，要台湾独立嘛，台湾独立打一仗再说了嘛，啊，有这种氛围嘛，那我也不想直接去跟他说，好啊，我干嘛？或者怎么样，我也不想这样回答，反正，然后他一看我没回答，他又问了我2次，后来停掉了，后来他又问，那你认为你爸爸好不好？啊，所以我讲可以啊，不好不坏啊，就是这样的，啊，我说不好不坏啊，他就是个父亲，就是这样，我要讲的就是个父亲，就是这样而已啊，啊，然后他就跟着就问我，你认为你好不好？我说我好，我当然好。我是 good， 我说的我很好，这我知道我很好。我今天 我说我喜欢帮助人，我喜欢干什么，我要说下去的这时候他不想听那么多废话，自己在说自己好，马上说，哎，那你说中国领导人好不好？啊，又回来这个话题了，又中国领导人好不好了？啊，好还是不好？啊，我说you can take it if you want， 哎，我说好与不好，啊，因为我想讲嘛，我就说一件事啊，今天当然啊，不见得他讲听啦，但是我还想说，没有给我机会说就对了。中国这么大，人口这么多，然后从苦难中上来的，能够搞成今天这样，已经很好了，很难得的了，不能再挑剔他了，这是关键啊。那我还有一件事，我说今天很简单，我说今天我为什么会碰到这灾难，而台湾那边我没有办法，那边也会打我，那边很多人在打击我，为什么？因为台湾那边统独的问题在这里，就是今天我是赞成两岸不要战争啊，对不对？慢慢的，将来再走统一的路线嘛，不急嘛，就是这样。但是不要往独立的路线那边走。所以我讲到这里，当然我后面就讲其他事。但总而言之，说实在，我已经很确定一件事情，因为我故事太长了，讲中文，人家会听得很精彩。如果是讲中文，当然，如果说讲给人家听的话，干嘛？他们会听得很精彩。但是，一讲也要讲5、6个钟头，才能够讲出一个轮廓出来。否则的话没有办法。那讲英文，你想想看，讲 ，Yeah， all the
police are able and they're bitches. They should hang them all.
The pay back my son and daughter.
I slap him in the head.
And then this one is a bitch and a pig.
Yeah, fucking oath. I agree with you. All the way. Keep preaching, mother. Keep preaching. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. It's on the ball.
And then he killed me. OK， 只要有人支持就好。年轻人不管是什么样他们讨厌警察的干嘛？总而言之，给我支持就好了。还有这件事情刚刚在年轻人事就讲完了。那我现在讲另外一件事情，就是说前几天有人在这边过来了，有人过来了，这警察。Hello. Yeah, how are you? And you know, I installed your right now.
Hello, you alright? Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
你没有跟进去，你为什么会跟过去？啊？他们不怕啊！现在警察，我告诉现在人入境越来越多人入境，他们敢入境。入境的话，你跟过来，然后另外一点越来越多人敢入境了嘛，对不对？现在因为我越来越辛辣了另外一个如果他们不愿意的话，就绕着他们后面去，先不要绕着他们后面去拍他们后面，这样就不是正面的，对不对？用这个方式，我跟你说，现在越来越多人他们来敢支持我，因为我现在这是什么？这畜生这是什么字？刽子手对啊。越来越辛辣的，因为我很简单，刚刚警察过去，我跟他说我在侮辱你们我侮辱你们，还有破坏你们的 reputation 名誉啊我说逮捕我right now， 马上就逮捕我，起诉我OK， that's fine OK， 他们不介意这样 OK， 我可以做我的就对了啦，这样子。Hello, policeman. Yeah, and
evil.
Yes, I insult and damage your reputation. You arrest me right now, charge me, and I don't need to pay the solicitor fee, and I can all make out in court. They don't want to. They don't want to, because I insult the land, police, and send me generic reputation. They don't want to arrest me. Yeah, they don't want to charge me. It's a serious crime, you know, insult someone, especially government machine, you know. But they don't give me a pure opinion, you know. I want an opinion. I want all the things that come out 18 years ago. They persecuted me and they destroyed my whole life and my children's whole life. I've been here. I've been out for over 4 weeks every day, every Monday to Friday, sometimes Sunday and Saturday. I want police, only police arrest me and give me fairness and justice back. Other just policemen who work us here only say hello to me. Hello, see you later. Never mind. 我刚才讲到哪里？
讲到另外一个故事，
什么故事啊？
就是不是那个年轻人了，是
年轻人过去了。
过去了。
所以要讲
另外一件
另外一个那个谁有一个洋人啊
对，
一个很高很大的年纪也有50、60岁了也不是太老我不知道40几岁、50、60岁他走过来，go home，干嘛？我就要跟他解释go 枪了，go back 枪了。我说 I'm Taiwan, come from Taiwan, go back Taiwan。OK， 那我就讲了。OK， 这个时候我说那跟他解释，他不要听，我给他也不要听。这个时候别人就开始好几个人对他，就在那边对他叫，骂他，他赶快夹着尾巴就跑掉了。所以我跟你说，我做这件事情是在侮辱警方的，侮辱这个澳洲政府的今天有件事情要让他全部都出来。我到街上来了，这样弄，随时会有危险。因为有些人在那边恶意的干嘛到时候给我来怎么样子这我们也看过不要警察都可以对我下手，不要说别人的，要打我干什么，甚至干什么。但我今天第一个我不怕，第二个说实在的，很多人在保护我，没有人敢出来了。最重要一点，没人敢出来，然后来对我下手的，这是一个关键，就是这样。为什么？我讲过，我说了。那个时候，我事情发生之后，我用一个公开声体要不到，台湾侨界不分蓝绿，通通都在帮助我，就要给我人品证明书，要优取一个公开声体，我要不到，怎么可能受害者我前妻在做梦？这么大的事件，杀人事件，他在做梦。OK， 这是一件事情第二件事情，后来我被设计到牢里面去了。OK， 我到牢里面，从我第一天开始就被保护起来。因为当第一天我蹲在那边的时候，有一个南美洲的洋人，他问我说：“你是怎么进来的？”我说 ：“attempted murder， 就是杀人未遂。”他不相信这个字眼，知道？然后另外 ，Could you give me support in English？ OK， 这个杀人未遂。这个时候，然后他问我什么？我重复一次，然后他突然间。反应他没有，我再讲一次，然后他叫起来了，什么杀人未遂？我不相信，他这样叫，他一叫，里面所有房间都是新报道的嘛，里面20-30个人都在关在一间里面新报道，然后出来之后，他们全部完全看来，从那一刻开始，我后面就被保护起来，以后我到了哪里从哪里被保护。当然我后来那个什么那叫做保释出来之后。保释出来 ，and pay back my children, and the National Bank is thief and evil stole my $30,000. 所以 ，and excuse me, do you like to take one in English? Thank you very much. Spread to everywhere in the world because policemen come us here. I ask them arrest me right now because I damage and I insult their reputation. I want they arrest me. It's a very serious crime. But they don't mind. They say no. Because I want they give me charge, and give me call and make all the truth out. Yeah, thank you very much. 所以啊，我刚才讲到什么事？我刚
在牢房的事
啊，在牢房里面。所以说哈，我到了哪个监狱？因为每个监狱里面大概都有300-500人啊，哈，有300-500人左右嘛。三 they are bitch, you know, all they call. And the A&B stole my $30,000. 那个什么，我说牢房啊，每个监狱里面都有300-500人。我去了好几个监狱嘛，啊，然后去了好几个监狱的时候，那些人我到了里面，因为大家都知道我的事，我一进去之后啊，我到任何的这地方，全部都在保护，这个是关键性。然后另外还有一件事，他们保护我，另外一件事，后面连监狱里面的典狱长也在保护，最大的头嘛，监狱典狱长，他都来。所以我讲啊，很过分。They are only called by beach, you know, and the headman pay back my son and daughter, and especially the national park, national bank stole my $30,000. They are beach. 我刚要讲，就是说，所以说
换了几个牢房。
对，我换了好多几个牢房嘛，哈。因为我刚刚我到过哪个地方，第一个是我一开始去的是，一开始啊哈，从警察局过去就是在那个帕拉马塔那边有个牢房，那个牢房是暂时的，帕拉马塔牢房不是大的，啊，那个是进去之后，然后再分配到其他地方的。然后我到那个什么地方，到 Sure Water 那边有关。我先到那边去，那边是看守所，因为那时候还没定案嘛，所以说看守所。然后我后面再去，后来看守所之后，后来我保释到外面来了。我保释到外面来之后，就是准备出庭干什么之后，我说我在牢里面的时候，那个时候我花了1个星期，你知道，那个写了26500个中文给那个什么，给法官，里面就已经写得清清楚楚。因为前面不让我进去之后啊，我就开始写，就对，我就那个没有，我一进去不是开始写，就一进去之后，一安定下来了嘛，就是在里面，因为不是说安定，就是当然一开始进去会很乱嘛，整个人乱干什么还有那些事情干嘛，甚至都讲自杀了，那时候怎么会这样呢？怎么可能发生这种事呢？怎么我们这么正常，一切都正常的，怎么可能发生这种事，对不对？那没办法想通，然后再来等我定下来之后，等我定下来之后，然后跟着去做一件事情了。然后因为那时候我在那个什么地方，在洗衣房里面做工作，然后工作的时候，那个时候等我稍一定的时候，我就在那边开始写了，写我的东西，然后写给法官，然后在里面写。后来那个心理医生，还有一个是那牧师嘛，他们都知道，知道真的假的，看了你就知道，跟你讲话你就知道了嘛，真的假的，什么事情是怎么样子也就知道了。所以在这个时候，这个时候，那个心理医生看过我之后，跟我见过面，这心理医生找我，跟我一见面之后，然后他就安排一个人，我说我需要写东西，因为有一个人狱友良人嘛，他的英文相当好，最主要是他愿意配合我了，他来帮助，这样子，我说我需要有个那个人愿意 帮我呢，就是说我在写东西的时候不会干扰到他们就对了。这个时候，现在跟我同寝室的是菲律宾人呐，这个不能打扰到他。这个时候啊，好了，那个心理医生就把他调给我，然后那个时候开始，我就是从那洗衣房下来之后，我就拼命写，然后一直写到就一直写嘛，写到熄灯嘛，睡觉。后来，但那速度太慢了，后来结果，在这个时候，忽然间，那个狱友，跟我同房的狱友，他拿到一个面罩，晚上我开灯的话，他可以戴着面罩睡觉，这样很好。那后来第二天他又拿到一样东西，拿到一个耳塞子，我就觉得好奇怪啊！我们洗衣房哪有这些东西啊？哪有又可以得到面罩，又可以得到耳塞子啊？那他说就在里面就捡来了，捡来了之后，在这个时候，然后我在那边，因为我们的床是铁的嘛，会叽叽嘎嘎叽叽嘎嘎的就对了。那个时候就不会干扰到他了。然后这个时候隔了几天，我们的单位的负责的然后他就这个负责的狱卒然后狱官然后他就管理我们洗衣房嘛，他叫我回去，他说你不要工作，你先把你的东西完成吧。我就回去从早写到晚，花了1个礼拜的时间把26500字写出来的。我一写完，我还给我律师叫他去翻译，他才拿出去的话，马上法官就叫开庭，重新就赶快就叫我付笔保释金，当时保释金也是蛮大的。那个时候付了保释金，然后叫我赶快保释出去了，就这样。后来我想，我必然我在里面写的时候，我每天在写，但到晚上他们一定把我拿去抠笔的嘛，一定是这样，他们自己去翻译去了。我写完他们拿去翻译，他们每天也在看我写的内容的，这必然是这样嘛。他不会等我写完等你翻译，然后再给他们嘛，没有这种事啊，这是逻辑。对，我写了，我一面写他们一面翻，一面写他们拿去翻的，他们自己面也看得清清楚楚的，所以才会我一本写完了，我才给律师了，就马上就开庭了，就叫我出去了。那个根本就还没给到那个什么嘛，还没翻译呢，但不管了。总而言之，我出来之后，在外面待1年多，就有一件事情要求公开审理庭要不到。OK， 我现在就讲后来我在Shuwater嘛。那个监狱里面，那个叫remand，对不对？当时叫remand，就是看守所。后来我1年后又回到那监狱里面进去了。我进去在监狱里面之后，进到监狱里面，我就在申请我的孩子了。我说我在申请我的孩子，我要看他们，我今天我要看我的孩子。然后事情过去了，可是 only couple a beach 跟 hey man you know hey big my son and daughter and NAB bank stole my $30,000 okay they give me and then it's English could you give me
Congratulations.
说
他用的那个年轻人用的一个字，很怪异的字，
什么字？
又符合又不符合，congratulation 是恭喜，不知道恭喜我在这边我可以站出来，然后这样子抗争还是恭喜我碰到这倒霉事，不知道是哪种恭喜不要理他了反正年轻人嘛。是吧？但是我想新冠肺炎他们不愿意拿这些东西，因为前2天碰到一个他想拿，你知道，拿了屎就病毒就跑掉了，就对新冠肺炎了，所以英文也是很啰嗦的，然后 only couple are beach, you know, Hammond, yes. And they destroy my life, my kid's life. National Bank and the thief, it's thief, you know, stole my $30,000. You give me support in English. I want to speak
I can't read that.
English.
I got that in English.
Yeah.
I read that.
And you like, yeah, you can take a photo.
I'll kill some more for you.
Thank you. And you told me you can take one more. And thank you.
OK，
OK。不要抢机会，下面完了我要试的，有没有机会给他们这个？现在我讲什么事？现在我刚刚讲到哪里？就是说
在 Sewer Water，
Shearwater， 对，我到了 Shearwater 里面去，后来回去的嘛，在那边
写了2万多字的。
写2万多字，后来我考试出来，后来我2003年的时候那时候不是本来说检察官说我前妻有神经病嘛，说我不用坐牢啊，因为我的刑是25年的徒刑嘛，然后判我1年以下，根本就连牢都不用坐，这个时候就代表还我公道了嘛，我就不是这个罪名啊，只不过那时候变成这样啊，但是那是个欺骗啊，所以说证人都没有出庭，都不用出庭的，那是检察官的阴谋啊。OK， 现在不管了，反正我进了休沃特监狱里面去啊。那时候进去的时候，那时候有300-500人嘛，然后后面呢我申请要见孩子，后来牧师跟心理医生联合起来。
I agree.
Yeah, and the give me support. 我现在说我这样走下去，我就不相信你们澳洲警方不处理这件事情，你们也要处理。现在支持人太多了，也没有人。我跟你说，这边反华很厉害，这边澳洲反华很厉害。我要是赶上来嚣张的话，早就被他们洋人给打死了，被警方给打死了。他们不要拿枪棒打我，他们拿电击棒，砰一下就打。但是今天我讲公道在人心。今天走到最后了，走到最后一步了，走到最后一步就是这个东西。等一下，现在几点钟了？1点钟怎么样
？1点15分。
我们快，我们到那个怎么样去？快！他们在那边，Townhouse Station， 快！他们那边 refugee。还有1点钟，他们在Townhouse Station， 叫我去，走，我来帮你。好，快。OK， 快。我来帮你拿，小心不要乱碰，你一碰就跑掉了。
早一点说嘛，你早一点说，我们有准备啊。
that they hold in common with Australia's Indigenous people. So we're here to protest
就在这里啊。
没有，就是他们呢。
哦，
他们从汤澳过来的，昨天告诉我的，昨天叫我到这边
a world in which some people are free is a world in which no one is free, and that applies equally to Aboriginal people, to refugees, and to other victims of racism and state oppression. So I'm Nick. I'm from the Refugee Action Coalition in Sydney, who's organising this protest. I think it's fantastic that we're all here. There aren't very many of us, that's clear. This tiny Sydney in 2019 for the 6 years too long demonstration. We had thousands of people outside town hall, thousands of people outside town hall.
Did you come here for this today, or you were just in the mall?
Sorry, my English is no good.
Okay, no worries.
Next time.
Have you heard of the refugees in Australia?
I take it, go home in capital.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, you can contact us. There's our phone number if you want to get involved.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
More important for us to keep the struggle going. Even if there are a few of us, we can get our message out. We can make sure that the plight of refugees is not forgotten. And we can remind the thousands of people who are in conscript all today that refugees matter, that their tax dollars are currently being used to torture them and imprison them, and that we are not going away until every last woman, man, child refugee is free and in the community and not having to undergo the kinds of torture and oppression that we're putting them under at the moment. So a big thank you, big congratulations for everyone being here
连他一
today.
起照啊，站前面远方的照。
在远方照，在远方照。
没有点我，连他一起照进来。
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Scott Morrison, hear us say, bring them here, let them stay. Scott Morrison, hear us say, bring them here, let them stay. Scott Morrison, hear us say, bring them here, let them stay. Scott Morrison, hear us say.
Bring them here. Let them stay.
Okay, so it's 7 years now since the Australian government started locking up refugees in Pacific Islands, on Manus, in PNG, and on Nauru, and nothing has changed. Some hundreds, of course, have been sent to the USA. In the interim, there are some in New Zealand as well, but still this country's policy, this racial policy of Fortress Australia remains intact, and there's a bipartisan consensus. Both sides of politics are in lockstep on the idea that the very fact of asking Australia for help is all you need to get yourself locked up and tortured and offshore jail. And as we speak at the moment, there's another protest going on outside the Kangaroo Point Hotel in Brisbane, where there's been a vigil and a blockade and a demonstration of support for refugees that's been going on for weeks now. And as we speak, the Queensland government, to its shame, is erecting walls around that hotel to prevent the asylum seekers who are in there from even seeing the supporters who are there on the street to give them their support and express their solidarity with them. This is the level of viciousness that the Australian state is prepared to go to. Not only do they lock asylum seekers up in unsanitary conditions, in places where they're at risk of getting COVID-19, as the Villa would experience in Sydney show. That's not enough for them. It's also not enough for them that they hold those people up in Manus Island or Nauru for 7 years just for asking us for help. As if that isn't enough. The minute these people get to Australia and are brought to a hotel in Queensland and refugee advocates come to support them, what happens? The walls go up. And we're here to say that those walls are going to come down We're going to bring those walls down. We're going to open the camps. We are not going to rest until every last man, woman and child is free in Australia. We've been saying that. We have been saying that for more than the last 2 decades. And we are going to go on saying it. And we are going to grow this campaign until there is a voice in Australian society that politicians on both sides cannot ignore, that is calling for justice and freedom for refugees. Now we're going to march off to Town Hall fairly shortly, but before we do that, we're fortunate here today to have Mohammed with us. Where are you, Mohammed? Where's Mohammed gone? Okay, Mohammed was here with us earlier. Thanks, Stephen. Mohammed was here with us earlier. Mohammed is a refugee from Iraq who just squeaked into Australia before the July 19, 2013 changes. That meant that anybody who tried to come here by boat would automatically be taken to the hellholes of the Pacific, Manus and Nauru, and left there to rot. Mohammed just got in before that, and I hope that when he comes back we'll be hearing from him. But until he does, it's worth just reminding ourselves, I think, of the trail of human destruction and despair that government policy has left behind it. We know that people have been killed, people have been driven to suicide, people have died of medical neglect. We have over a score of people whose blood successive Australian immigration ministers have on their hands. Chris Bowen, Peter Dutton, and all of the others. And that is a lasting shame on politics in this country. It's a blight on Australian Federal Parliament, and it's a blight on our society, and we will not stand for it. We will not stand for it. Free, free the refugees! Free, free the refugees!
Free, free the refugees! Free, free the refugees! Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear!
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear!
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear!
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear!
Refugees are welcome here!
Okay, so it looks as though we don't have Mohammed, so we'll have a few more charts, and then we will march up to hear some other speakers at Town Hall. We'll be hearing from Nicole Judge, who worked offshore for many years and came to see it firsthand, the horror of Australia's offshore detention policies, and has been a resolute and staunch advocate for rights for refugees ever since. And we'll also hear from Ali, himself a victim of Australia's bipartisan cruelty. But before, let's hand it over to a new MC for some other chants. So take it away, Kyan.
Free, free the refugees!
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 When refugees are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! Refugees are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When refugees are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight
refugees.
Free, free the refugees.
Free the 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 refugees.
Free, free the refugees.
Lives lost, huge cost. Free the refugees. Lives lost, huge cost. Free the refugees. Lives lost, huge cost. Free the refugees. Lives lost, huge cost.
Free the refugees.
Lives lost, huge cost. Free the refugees. Lives lost, huge cost. Free the refugees.
Okay, so we're going to move up to Town Hall now, everyone. Kind of will lead the chance. I did just want to announce, though, that Stephen here, who is a great friend of refugee rights, runs a weekly refugee protest every Friday at 4:30 on the Town Hall steps. RAC supports that protest. Please, if you're in the city or can get there at 4:30 every Friday, join Stephen and the others there. It's an important and useful way of keeping refugees in the public eye. And well done to Stephen for that. We've also got another great chant which I suggest we could perhaps use. We are here and we will fight refugees and human rights. We are here and we will fight refugees and human rights. We are here and we will fight refugees and human rights.
他们是支持难民的哈，难民真的，今天我也是难民，他们说我也算是我的 case 也算是难民的。
跟不跟着他走？
Go away the king! nation.
No deportation!
No borders, no 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 nation.
No deportation!
Free, free the refugees.
Free the refugees!
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 Free, free the refugees. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here!
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Free, free the refugees. 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 And Martin, we're taking it in. No PNG and no dollar. Martin, we're taking it in. Martin, we're taking it in. Martin, we're taking it in. No PNG, no dollar. Martin, we're taking it in. Martin, we're taking it in. Free, free the refugees. 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 Asylum is a human right. We are here and we will fight. We are here and we will fight. We are here and we will fight. We are here and we will fight.
Asylum is a human right! Asylum is a human right! Asylum is a human right! Asylum is a human right!
We are here and we will fight.
Asylum is a human right!
We are here and we will fight.
Asylum is a human right!
We are here and we will fight.
Asylum is a human right!
We are here and we will fight.
Asylum is a human right! 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 Asylum is a human right!
here. We will fight.
Asylum is a human right.
8 years enough. 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 8 years enough.
8 years enough. 8 years enough.
8 years enough. 8 years enough. 8 years enough. 8 years
Yeah, okay. People are just going to have to stay in little groups of 20. We need to make sure we've got a bit of social distance for the thing. That's okay. And there'll be a few more that are coming in. We'll just say the same thing. If people can space themselves out, we've got a very big speaking equipment, as you can probably already hear. So we can make a lot of noise. We don't need to be bunched in one place. So yeah, just to let people who are passing by Town Hall this morning to know why we're here. Today is the 19th of July. A lot of people don't recognise the importance of that day. But that day will be, one day it will be like Anzac Day. It'll be like the 26th of January, because the 19th of July 2013, it really is a day of infamy in Australian history. On that day, the Rudd Labor government changed the law so that people who arrived in Australia by boat, who came to Australia seeking protection, seeking asylum, seeking refuge, fleeing war and persecution and abuse in other countries, on that day the Labor government not only closed the door the way the Liberals had before. The door had already been closed, but what they did on that day was to say people who arrived by boat would be sent to Manus and to Nauru, and that they would never be allowed to resettle in Australia. It was a fundamental break with what had gone before, with all the cruelty and abuse that had gone before 19th of July 2013, but to actually say that people who arrived by boat after that date would never come to Australia was a fundamental break with everything that Australia supposedly represented when it signed the refugee convention. So this day is being marked. It has been marked every year since 2013, because the stark reality is that thousands of people have been sent to Manus and Nauru. Those people, even when they've been found to be refugees, have been confined to Manus and Nauru. Some people have been determined to be refugees in 2015, shortly after they were sent there. Some of those people are still on Manus, still on Nauru, still seeking the safety, still seeking the protection that they asked for in 2013. So it's been a fundamental abuse. The Australian solution, as it's come to be known, is something now which European governments are saying. They've used all kinds of excuses. They've used the same excuses as the Australian government. They've talked about saving lives at sea at exactly the same time that they've turned boats around, that they've put the lives in peril because they've turned boats around between Indonesia and Australia in the same way the European governments are turning boats around in the Mediterranean. So I'd like to, I think I'm welcoming the Chinatown contingent. We're just asking for people to remain socially distanced while we have the rally here, and just been explaining why July 19 is a very particular day. It's an infamous day in Australian history, and we're going to keep making sure that it is not commemorated, but we are going to make sure that on the 19th of July that there are going to be protests. And we've got the protest in Sydney, in Brisbane. There are a lot of people outside. There are thousands of people actually outside the Kangaroo Point Hotel, where we've seen again the people there have been maintaining a vigil since the 11th of June. So people have been maintaining that vigil. On Friday, the Queensland Police went to court to try and get to ban the protest that was happening today. For once, the Queensland magistrates found in favour of the protesters. That protest is going ahead, so that there are thousands of people outside Kangaroo Point as we gather here. So we are standing in solidarity with those people in Brisbane. We're standing in solidarity with the people who are protesting inside Mantra. In Melbourne, there will be an online forum. People know that the COVID virus restrictions have made all kinds of restrictions difficult about how we can organise, protests. But in both Mantra and Kangaroo Point, there are daily protests, that happen. And I just bring it to attention one of the things that's happened in the last 24 hours, just over 24 hours, at Kangaroo Point. There's the Kangaroo Point Hotel. In some ways, not in some ways, it's on one of the main streets of Brisbane. Main Street is the main street which runs from Wollongabba up to the Story Bridge Hotel. The whole the refugees have been able to use the balcony of that hotel to launch their banners, to be able to, people who are walking outside can actually see the stark reality that people are imprisoned inside that hotel. In Brisbane, it's become a very, very particular focus that the media have had to pay a lot of attention to. The police have leafleted whole suburbs, explaining why what's happening with the vigil and the attempts that they've made to try and sort of limit the protests. The refugees in turn have actually leafleted the whole suburbs, explaining why they're continuing the protest, continuing to maintain the vigil at Kangaroo Point to support the refugees who are stuck inside. So we stand here in solidarity with those protests, and to make sure that the protests are going to keep continuing, and that the movement which has built to free the refugees, we've made it very, very clear to Scott Morrison and to Alan Tudge and to Peter Dutton, that the movement isn't going to go away. And in Brisbane, in the last 24 hours, they've actually started to put up very, very high fences, wooden fences, to prevent the people who are outside the hotel seeing what's happening inside. So it's one of the measures which the government has taken to very, very consciously, very, very deliberately, to try and prevent people who are outside on the street seeing the reality of the government's cruelty, day by day. And so those walls, I think, it's become a particular focus of the protests in Brisbane, to bring down that particular wall. But we're here to say it's not just that wall that has got to come down. We want all the fences. The one they built in Kangaroo Point, the recent one, the one they put around that whole hotel, the one that's at Bida, at Villawood, at Mida in Melbourne, at Yonga Hill, all the walls that the government has built to try and keep refugees separate from the community, all those walls have to come down. And I want to say a particular welcome to all the people who are also represented here, because there are tens of thousands of people who aren't in detention, who are in the community, but who are imprisoned just the same by the fact that they are on visas or temporary protection visas, which mean that they are separated from their families. They don't have a right to family reunion. They don't have a right to education. That they can't travel, separated from loved ones, from partners, from parents. And worst of all, I think, in the circumstances of the COVID restrictions, you've got people who are not entitled. If you're on the temporary protection visa, or you're on a bridging visa, you don't get job seeker, you don't get job keeper. So we've got tens of thousands of people who literally are destitute. The homelessness, we know, is already growing. Amongst refugees and asylum seekers in the community, that homelessness has become, at epidemic proportions. So people who are living in cars, people who are homeless, simply living on the street, because we've got a government which deliberately, cuts off their money, no income support. And if we want to see one of the things of the way that the system discriminates against them, I think we see not just the way they discriminate in the terms of when they arrive and what happens when they arrive, the fact that they don't get the permanent protection. We see the conditions that they inflict on their lives is absolutely abominable in terms of the day-to-day survival in the COVID crisis. So we've got a couple of speakers today. Yep. So first, I'd like to introduce is Nicole Judge. Nicole is someone I think probably needs no introduction to the people who have gathered here, but Nicole was someone who was one of the main whistleblowers in terms of exposing what was happening inside Nauru and inside Manus. She's worked on Nauru, you know, and Manus has seen herself what the circumstances are inside those detention centres. And Nicole was on Nauru 7 years ago when the policy changed, so please welcome Nicole.
Thanks for having me today. So I'll start with a little story about myself. I was hired by the Salvos in 2012. This was pre-July 19 policy. So a little background, when I started on Nauru, there was only about 50 men there at the time. And over time, we increased our numbers. And every day they would ask us, how long are we going to be here for? What's going to happen to us? Why am I here and my friends from the same boat are in Sydney and Melbourne? Why can I see them posting photos of their trips in Melbourne and Sydney, but I'm stuck here in Nauru? And the only answer we were allowed to give was none. We couldn't tell them anything, and we weren't allowed to provide them any hope. And the reason being was we would actually be fired for doing so. So fast forward to July 19, 2013, I was still on island at the time, and we knew that the government was going to make an announcement about boat arrivals. They said that on July 19, 2013, anyone who arrives in Australia by boat will never ever reach Australian shores. That resulted in a protest by our people on Nauru and ignited a huge debate about how we treat these asylum seekers and how long that they need to be in detention for, and why can't they come to Australia and contribute to our society. That night, the Nauru Detention Centre was burned down. So this morning, 7 years ago, I was in the Menin Hotel, locked in my hotel so that I couldn't get on the computer to talk to the media. So it's interesting now, here I am at Town Hall telling you about it. Unfortunately, at that time, I thought that this is it. The centre's been burnt down, there's no more centre. These guys are going to have to come to Australia, there's no choice. But it only got worse from there. People now have been in detention 7 years from that point, being treated in a way that I can only describe as despicable by the Australian workers, including guards, government figures, IHMS, Salvation Army. Everyone who worked there is accountable for the way that they treated these people and still are today. And I want to acknowledge that they have been there 7 years. I know someone who's 29 when he arrived, now he's 36. He's lost 7 years of his life stuck in detention. And even if he ever gets released, he's going to live with the ongoing trauma of how we have treated these people for the last 7 years. And that's never going to go away, even if he is released. I then moved to Manus Island and we had the death of Reza Barati. And I thought after the death of Reza Barati, who was murdered by Australian staff, that okay, it's going to close. We've had the riot on Nauru. We've now had a death in custody of an innocent man who was murdered by people who were there to employed to protect him. That's it. Unfortunately, no. Conditions just got worse from then on in, which is still something that upsets me today. I then spoke at the Senate inquiry to try and detail the horrific conditions that these men were living in, and detailed to them the risk of outbreak, the risk of sickness, the risk of infection, because we weren't providing people with shoes, we weren't providing people with toothpaste, toothbrushes, adequate clothing, protection from the sun, protection from the elements. We then lost Hamid Karzai months later after the inquiry, so we weren't heard then. Now, 7 years later, we still gather together to, I suppose, commemorate and pay our respects to the people we have lost in detention, and to acknowledge what we have done to them and what the Australian government is continuing to do so today. And I want to stress that we will continue to come out every year to commemorate this day, to make sure that it is detailed in Australian history of how we have treated these people, and hold ourselves accountable for what we have done, and pursue the release of these people from detention immediately, along with an apology to our fellow human beings. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Nicole. 8 years enough. 8 years enough. 8 years enough. 8 years enough. 8 years enough.
8 years enough. 8 years enough.
Okay, got a bit of another one. Lives lost, huge cost, free the refugees. 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 Free the refugees. Lives lost, huge cost. Over the last week or so, as I mentioned, Kangaroo Point, the Alan Tudge, who's the acting immigration minister, sort of standing in for Peter Dutton, has spent a lot of time, on media in Brisbane. And he spent a lot of time doing what every immigration minister before his has done, just filling the media with straight out lies about the people who are in detention, about whether they are refugees or not, whether they've asked for medical attention or not, not got medical attention. And it's been taken some big effort to turn those lies around, to expose the fact that they are lies. And that is one of the reasons that they're building the very high wooden fence around Kangaroo Point at the moment, to prevent people seeing what's happening behind those fences at Kangaroo Point, but in order to keep those lies, those lies going. So Tudge went on and told blatant lies, on 4BC and other programs in Brisbane. He said there's something like half the people who are in Kangaroo Point weren't even refugees. But we know that that's just not true. There's about 105 people who are in Kangaroo Point. 18 of them are found to be negative. 8 of that 18 are people who haven't even applied, made an application for a refugee, to get a refugee determination. But the government has depended, as like the governments have before them, have depended on pumping those lies out into the media that tries to provide some other kind of excuse, some other kind of explanation for why people are kept behind those fences. But one of the things that the refugee movement has had to do over the years is to progressively expose those lies and expose the reality of what the government is doing. One of the people who is still on in Papua New Guinea at the moment is Shaminda. Shaminda's a refugee. We weren't able to get a direct audio from Shaminda, but he has sent a message, and I'll just read that message out before we call our next speaker. On this day, 19th of July 2013, 7 years ago, the Australian government, a Labor government, changed the law so that any asylum seekers who arrived by boat and were sent offshore to Manus Island and Nauru would never be allowed to settle in Australia. For the last 7 years, successive Australian governments have ignored the Refugee Convention and denied our human rights. Vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers have been scapegoated and used for the Australian government's political agenda. 13 people have died in Australia's offshore detention centres, some by suicide, some by medical neglect. The treatment of refugees on Manus and Nauru will forever be a stain on Australia's international reputation. We refugees broke no law. We simply sought Australia's help in the only way we could. But politicians have attacked our character, have deemed us, calling us terrorists and criminals. The government knew that they were creating hellholes on Manus and Nauru. They were deliberately cruel. For the past 7 years of offshore detention, systematic torture, lack of medical care and deliberate medical negligence has made most of us sick both mentally and physically. The government promises for third countries have also been empty. We are happy for the few hundred who have been accepted to go to the United States, but many hundreds of us are still in limbo. The government still refuses to resettle any of us in New Zealand. And today I'm also thinking of the refugees who were transferred to Australia for medical treatment, but are being held indefinitely in hotel prisons and detention centres without the medical help or freedom. So we start our 8th year without security and without a future. But we are very thankful to all those in Australia who have opposed the government's cruel policy and stood alongside us, supported us, who have campaigned to get children and families off Nauru, the thousands of doctors and others who supported the Medivac bill. We will always be grateful. Your support and compassion gives us hope that we will overcome the lies of ambitious politicians and the cruelty that is imposed upon us, and that we will finally win the protection and freedom we need. That's from Shaminda in Papua New Guinea. There's around 187. There's 187 people who are still in Papua New Guinea, and the truth is that there is no way out for them. As Shaminda says in his message, some people have got to the US. We expect that there will be some more people who will go to the US quite shortly. But again, I don't need to explain here. The circumstances in the United States are appalling. That the scale of, I mean, I only need to think about Trump to understand why it's appalling for refugees. But the scale of the refugee infection, the fact that there is no ongoing support, that the support services in the United States have been cut. Many of them are going to a circumstance almost as destitute as they face in Papua New Guinea, which is why we continue to raise the demand that people should be brought from Papua New Guinea and Nauru to Australia, that the people who are exiled in Papua New Guinea and Nauru should get the protection and the freedom that they need in Australia. They should get permanent visas and permanent protection to make sure that they are part of the Australian community and get the protection that they asked for when they came in 2013. So our next speaker is Ali. Ali's from Justice and Refugees and represents a lot of the communities who are in the community, people who are on temporary protection visas, people who are on bridging visas, people who are struggling in situations where they get no income support and have been permanently separated from their families and parents and sometimes children. So please welcome Ali. Thank you.
First, thank you everyone for coming to support human rights here, and this is give us a hope for get our rights in this beautiful land and beautiful people. Since 2012, there is other section, not just at the offshore when Nicole talk about it, and it's other people they call onshore here, but in same unfair treatment with Liberal government, and we become a part with no families, and if someone didn't have a family and can't get them, this guy's without freedom. The other things, we come from hell to lost, unfortunately. I don't like to tell people bad news, but it's the reality. We have to say this because we feel it, and everyone feel it. If didn't see his son a week, what about 8 years cannot see your family again? And there is no answer. We're looking for answer when we can see our family again. Tomorrow, next year, 10 years, 11 years, because they give us a bench, they call it TBV visas, and those visas will renew after every 3 or 5 years. But there is no hope and no guarantee to see our family again. And when the world become a one nation and people act nicely with animals, with full respect to animals, but now other politicians, they act with human beings as the old ages, like dark ages and Umbrella, they become people as level. We live 8 years and second because politicians fighting with other neighbors and become Iraq and other countries, it's arena for war. And here we come a different type of suffering. This is psychology I don't know who has made this law to destroy people without bullet. This destroy us. We suffer enough, and we say, if you have any sense of a human, enough suffering. That's we give all the power. We cannot wait anymore, and we cannot do anything because we are a weak people. We come asking for help. We didn't say any for threat or something. We just say, please see us with mercy. Us. You have family, you have children, and you love your family. You asking before a week. Morrison said, I have a holiday with my family. And if you are and other decision maker have a family, we have a family too. But except if you see us not a human being, if you see us from different type, no, you are wrong. We are human like you. You have feeling like you, and we need this nature. This nature we need to live with our families. Sorry for thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. I believe in one guy from Australian people. He can change our situation. If you fight with us, peacefully fight and ask for mercy and ask for we don't need a lot. We need only normal life as everyone here, everyone in the street. We don't care about paperwork. If you give me citizenship or not, I don't care about it, but I need some safe place. I have to live with my family. This is not asking for just give me something more. This is this is simple thing for any family, and thank you very much for support us here.
Yeah, thanks very much, Charlie. So say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
8 years enough. 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 8 years enough.
8 years enough.
Free the refugees. Permanent protection, not TPVs. Free the refugees. Permanent protection, not TPVs. Free the refugees. Permanent protection, not TPVs. Okay, it's a bit of a mouthful. Sorry about that. Okay, we've got a message now from Fahad. Fahad is one of the refugees who's been imprisoned in the Kangaroo Point Hotel. The 11th of June, actually the 12th of June, he was transferred from Kangaroo Point to the Bida Detention Centre. He was taken out of Kangaroo Point to Bida for the same reason that another Fahad was taken out of Mantra Hotel to the Mida Detention Centre, because they've been two very, very outspoken refugees who stood up to Serco, who stood up to Border Force and were quite willing to be interviewed by the media, to organise the protests inside the detention centres, to make sure that the refugee voices got beyond the fences that Morrison and Dutton had tried to hold them behind. So on the 12th of June, on the 11th of June, they attempted to shift Fahad from Kangaroo Point to Bida, and it was that shift, that attempt to move Fahad, which precipitated the blockade of Kangaroo Point, which has been running since the 11th of June. So I think we've got the, yeah. Okay, so this is a message from from Fahad in Bida Detention Centre now.
This is Fahad. You are hearing me from Brisbane Immigration Transit Accommodation. Today is a very important day for all of us, as today is the mark of 7th year of detention center for us. A policy which was announced in 19 July 2013 by Labour government was in place, and based on that we were all sent to either Manus Island in Papua New Guinea or Nauru. So past 7 years has been my life in detention. I am so sorry that you are somehow have been through lockdown and isolation. I'm really sorry for that. But I hope you got a better understanding of our life in past 7 years. Yes, forced isolation has been my life for 7 years. Well, I would like to take this opportunity and read you a letter from a dear friend of mine who lives in Mantra Hotel, who is detained in Mantra Hotel in Melbourne. A dear friend, Ali Mirzai, is a medical laboratory technologist and a passionate person. So he has written a letter to you as a sign of appreciation. I would love to take this opportunity and read this letter. To the humanitarian people of Australia, thank you for all your sympathy during past 7 years of detention, especially during COVID-19. The story of 19 July is clear for you, but I would like to mention it psychologically. Personality is defined as the characteristic sets of behaviors, cognitions, and emotional patterns that evolve from biological and environmental factors. What are environmental factors? Does detention have good environmental factors? Hopeless, limbo, depression, stress, and so on are detention factors. Experience shows that personality can change during time. Even psychological and psychiatrists were the same with other people in those experiences. Meanwhile, they have the best knowledge of mind management. What about refugees after 7 years? Morality is the only difference between human and other creatures. There are 5 branches for morality: liberty, love, justice, dignity, and reality. How many of those branches have been running in detention during these 7 years? COVID-19 has been a new situation for all over the world. What has COVID-19 brought to the world? Death, stress, lockdown, and isolation. How many family violences have happened during this type of lockdowns? How many mental health problems happened during this time? How many suicides? Why has the federal government appointed someone as the first deputy chief health officer for mental health? It means that mental health is serious matter in lockdown, even in short time. What about refugees after 7 years? To sum up, detention is detention even if it's your home. Detentions affect to personality and morality during long time as well as physical effects. The more detention, the more negative effects. Prevention is better than cure, physically or mentally. Freedom is the right of refugees now to be prevented from more those negative effects. Even criminals know the end of their prison time, but we don't. even some criminals free because of COVID-19. At the end, I would like to appreciate organizations, people, refugee advocates, lawyers, and those who have been working or protesting to release refugees. Humanitarian efforts remain in history forever. No one can destroy history. Australia not only needs policy and border protection, but also needs good reputation. And you are the good reputation of Australia. You showed it for refugees and for Black Lives Matter. Love you, God bless you all. Ali Mirzai, a refugee in Manchester, Melbourne.
Thanks very much to Amir who penned that letter. But I think he does make one of those connections which people who are in detention see much more clearly than some of us outside. The racism which has affected the Indigenous community. When they talk about Black Lives Matter, they recognise that the Black Lives Matter and refugee lives matter, and there's a connection between the way in which the Australian government perpetuates the racism and discrimination on the first Australians and on the most recent Australians. Our next speaker is Hamed. Hamed's a TPV holder. He arrived in Australia in 2013. And I think in introducing Hamed, Hamed's also a bus driver. And one of the things that I've been particularly struck by, is people have been looking at what's happening in Melbourne, at the moment, and poor old Dan Andrews down there seems to be a little bit bewildered, about why there should be community spread, why that people who don't get income support, people who don't get Centrelink, people who can't afford not to go to work. He doesn't really seem to understand why, without that kind of support, some people are forced to go to work. And that without that support, unless the government provides that support, that's something which is going to continue to happen. And actually, in that sense, the discrimination also is something which not only spreads racism in the community, it also spreads it also spreads the virus. I think we can see exactly there's a connection between the policies that the government actually puts in place in that respect. They don't provide the protection for the people who need it. They don't provide the permanent visas. They don't provide the income support, and that in turn, means people who can't afford to stay at home, who can't afford to take the time off, who haven't got payment for COVID time, are actually forced to go to work, and it's the community that has been put at risk by the government's policies. So please welcome Hamed.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السلام عليكم أخوان أخوات. In the name of God, peace and you. My name is Hamed Al-Balawi, I live in Houston suburb. I arrived in Australia 2013 by boat. Since this time until now, I'm still in the process, still in the visa, still in the way to get our life sorted. Lucky I have a BTV now, and since 2016 I work full-time. I'm a bus driver, and I go forward in my life, and sort of is okay, but still in the process, and still asking about the government just looking for our case in our life. 8 years I don't see my kids and my family since that time. Imagine you see your family and you remember your sons every day, miss it one day. What's happened to you? I let my son just walk. That time now he's second class in school. And my daughter as well is 14 years. She's a grown-up daughter too. It's mentally too lets you that time, all this, you can't see your family behind the phone or the cameras. It's mentally an issue too. Imagine you yourself in this case, what happened. There's so much issue, we try, fight to get our case forward. And we're looking for government to look into us. It's 8 years, it's check up us for our case and our visa and our process to go forward. I pay taxes same as equal in Australian since 2016. I don't need support, I don't need help. I'm a good person, I'm clear, like equal with any Australian live in Australia. And I'm Australian, I live in Australia. Since I step in this country, I feel Australia is my country. It's not Iraq, my country. And I love Australia, I still love it. Even they don't give it me what I want. I'm saying that loud and proud. I'm Australian, even I'm not a citizen. And I love it. I love this country. Country they give me, thank you. The country give me, my home country give it to me. Thank you. Australia give it to me, not my home country give it to me. Give me the chance, give me life. They save me and they give me what I want. Even when I study here and I work as well. And I'm seeing my life is different between since I'm coming here. And I ask about government looking to us. I want to say it is looking for our case, looking for our life. It's 8 years enough for us to look in our cases and open it and see what's happened to us. We live together and since 8 years here, and we want to live forever in Australia. We don't think about anything else. It's enough for our separate families and a lot of issue between, is complaining about our family. What's happened to your case when you come back or when we come together like a gathering. Yes, I love this country. I want to stay in this country. But I ask about paper, document, like an equal when any Australian here. Nothing else. And I appreciate it when you listen to me, brothers and sisters, and support us for this protest. And thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Hamid. And Hamid's story is like the story of thousands of people who are in the community who've been denied the support that they desperately need, denied the permanent visas, denied the income support, denied family reunion, denied the right to travel. So let's let the government know, 8 years enough, 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 8 years enough.
8 years enough!
Lives lost, huge cost, free the refugees. 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 And there is a massive, massive cost which is being paid by the people who are in the community, by the people who are in the hotels, who are in the detention centres, but there's also a cost that's being paid by the wider community, by the divisions that are being sowed by the Duttons and the Morrisons of the world who want to try to create divisions inside the Australian community. But we know that we are much more powerful when we stand together against the lies, against the discrimination, when we unite to make sure that we're all treated equally. As far as everyone here is concerned, Hamid should be a citizen. The things that are put in place that are denied the permanent residency, the length of time that people have to wait, the strictures about the English language, the character test. There are people who have got permanent residency who then apply for citizenship, and they find that they've got an immigration department which employs a ton of bureaucrats to trawl through every bit of paper that they've supplied before to try and question whether they've got character grounds to try and deny them citizenship, to stall their citizenship. That's the kind of policies which we are fighting against and which we are going to keep fighting till we actually get rid of those kinds of policies. Not just this government. We need to get rid of Morrison and Dutton. We need to get rid of the government. We'll want a Labor government even for no other reason than they'll get rid of temporary protections and put permanent protection in its place. But we also make it very clear to the Labor Party and the Labor government that the policies about offshore detention, they've got to go. The policies about mandatory detention, they've got to go. The measures that the government has put in place, that the Liberals have put in place over citizenship, They've got to go. All the policies that the Liberals have put in place, and so many of them have been supported, by the Labor Party. We're not going to rest. The campaign is not going to rest until they have been overturned and people can take their rightful place. When the votes are welcome, people get permanent visas, people get permanent residency, and they get citizenship along with the rest of us. So we've got one last speaker today, and that's Sajida. Sajita's from the Rohingya. I let her announce the formation of their new women's development group. But Sajida represents the Rohingya community. As people would know, that we have seen very recently the Rohingya, which are still being persecuted inside Myanmar. People who are in desperate circumstances in Bangladesh. Hundreds of them have been on boats that have attempted to come down from Rohingya from Myanmar to Australia, to Malaysia, to Indonesia, and Australia. Very recently, some of them have landed in Indonesia, but there are thousands of them. They were only welcomed in Indonesia because other people in Aceh, fishermen in Aceh, went and rescued them and brought them ashore. We've got an Australian government which continues to deny them safety. Which Abbott, if people might remember, that it was Tony Abbott who actually called on the Malaysian governments, who called on the Indonesian governments to turn those boats around at sea. And it's only because there were people in Malaysia, people in Indonesia who welcomed those boats that they are here. It's Australian government policy to this day that even if they are found to be refugees in Indonesia, they will be denied resettlement in Australia. Australia has precluded people who are found to be refugees from the UNHCR arrangements, which means that they're not accepted in Australia. So thousands of people, Rohingya, Afghans, Iraqis, Sudanese, are stuck in Indonesia in desperate circumstances for the same reason, inflicted on circumstances much the same way, without the kind of support, at risk of COVID, without the possibilities of the health support, being able to education and work. But Sajida represents the Rohingya community in Australia. Please welcome Sajida.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. My name is Sajida. I am Rohingya community, Rohingyan. I am is Burma Rohingyan. Very, very bad situation. And I am come to by boat 2013 in Australia. These boys given me in Australia Refugee Organization given me. Before I don't have voice, I have now voice. I'm so happy I am here. And we are everyone happy for refugee. We are refugee. We are everyone happy to in Australia because everyone save life at least. Everyone save life at least. No 100%. Everyone need. We are need help in Australia government. Listen, we are pain. Please, we are need help. I can explain to you something as small things. Lock the door. Lock the door is the door. It's the brain. Please, this COVID-19, how scary. How much scary. All the world understood the scary little bit. We are refugees many times. A scary life. Feel. I can't explain to this scary life. Not easy speaking. We are know how scary the journey. Settle up other country. We are home. Stay. This is my 100% home. This two hands, we are everyone happy for safe life, enjoying education. Very beautiful country. Many people so beautiful, humble. Is the supporting. We are need other hand is the big barrier. This temporary protection visa, 5 years visa. We are children future. We are mother. We are father. We are sister. We are need children need opportunity. You are life. Give it to our children. I have the right. We are mother. Mother need right. Give it to save life, children, future. This pen is the mother. This pen is the sister. This pen is the brother. We are brother, many brother waiting for family. Especially this situation. No safe in the refugee. No safe in the country, other country overseas. No list, no safe. Risks and everyone risks and scary. This virus, the COVID didn't know that refugee, COVID know that Australian, COVID know any country. COVID everyone. Don't divide it. Don't give it to discrimination. Please, we are paying same. We need help, save life. I need 100% safe visa. This visa big barrier, our children future. My age, I don't need. We need my children, we are children, everyone children future. Everyone pain, we are mother. Everyone know there is the mother, give feed 100% good food. We need their one, please. Everyone enjoying this country, everyone safe. Need 100% safe. I feel I'm not safe because my children go to school, which visa? Very confusing. Temporary protection visa, 3 years visa. After 3 years, your children don't come. Many people don't understand. Many people know. Children ask the question for parents, too hard. Explain to this visa. We no need this visa. 8 years punishment enough. 8 years punishment enough. Please. Thank you so much. Give me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sajida. I don't think there's any way you can put it as poignantly or as heartfelt as we've heard from Sajida, and there's so many people that are affected in the same way in the community. And I think the issue about the COVID risk, I mean, is something which is very, very poignant. The COVID is now in the Greek islands. COVID is in the Bangladesh camps, and yet we've got a situation in which the Australian government continues to maintain the hotels and the detention centres. They know it's high-risk environment. They know they're exposed to the possibilities of COVID, and yet they maintain situations where they know that people are at high risk. If it gets inside the hotels, if it gets inside Maida, if it gets inside Villawood, they've got situation exactly like the cruise liners, exactly like the towers in Melbourne, exactly like the situations where they know that it's likely to spread. And yet we've had a situation in Sydney where there have been 30 Villawood guards, at least 30, more than 30, who are at a party at the Crossroads Hotel that's become infamous in its own way. 30 guards were actually stood down from Villawood for working. Now we're told publicly that those guards have tested negative, but from inside Villawood, and that's where it's the only way that we found out that the guards had actually been stood down in the first place. Inside Villawood, it's very clear to the people who are there that there are still a large number of those guards who are not back at work. So we've been trying to get the questions asked very, very publicly. Where is the guarantee? Where is the confirmation that those guards are all negative? Are they being hidden inside those statistics? We know that there are so many other ways in which the statistics, some of those guards don't just work at Villawood. They may be in the statistics as positive, not because they've worked at Villawood, but because they're guards in some other places, or got other kind of jobs, and they're being recorded in that kind of way to try and hide the reality of what COVID actually means in Villawood and in other places. So that brings us to the end of our speaking list in Sydney this afternoon. I want to thank everybody for coming out and being part of the rally. We've stood here today in solidarity with the people who are in Kangaroo Point, for the people who are in the Brisbane Detention Centre, for the people in Mantra, in Maida, in Villawood and Yonga Hill. And so we need to make very, very clear to the government that 8 years enough. 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 Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. This is not going to be our last protest by any means. If people haven't signed up for the Refugee Action Coalition, if you're not part of our contact list, make sure that people with clipboards, make sure you leave your name and your contact details. We still meet by Zoom at the moment. We're hoping to get back to be meeting face to face as soon as we possibly can. But there's still ways in which you can be involved in organising the protests, in organising support for people who are in detention, and make it very clear to the government that the refugee movement is not about to go away, and we're not going to rest until all offences at Kangaroo Point, all offences that are on Nauru, all offences in Papua New Guinea and the detention centres across Australia, those fences have to come down. The people who have been denied their rights to live alongside us, those rights have to be fulfilled, and until we do have a welcome refugee policy, until people who arrive by boat get permanent protection, until the people who are in the community on bridging visas and temporary visas have got permanent protection, permanent residency and citizenship, this campaign is going to keep on fighting. So thanks everybody for coming. Keep in touch. We'll make sure that there are more wait times to get on the street. Every opportunity we can take, make sure our voices get across to the government. 8 years enough. 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 8 years enough.
8 years enough. 8 years enough.
Free the refugees. Free the refugees. Free the refugees. Free the refugees. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks Nicole. Thanks Ali. Thanks Ahmed. Thanks Sajida. Stay in touch. We're going to keep fighting.
到外面来警方做备选。我说，你稍微远一点点，因为他们也可以进去，后面的警方让他进去。
你的牌子接着。
昨天有个人告诉我说我也是refugee，对，叫我来参加这个，但我不知道他们是在silent， 对，他们是个集会，对不对？那幸好刚刚赶上了，突然间想起来，因为在这边太多事了，想起来，然后来参加他们。那现在我希望跟他们里面一个主事者之一跟他们谈的，希望他们来协助我，让我能够得到，但所有事实，18年前事实真相出来，让我得到应得的公平跟正义，让我的孩子能够得到正常的人生，对不对？那这样的话，今天他们来协助我，等我拿回公平正义之后我一切很多东西讨回来了，譬如说这个土地也不要再继续搞我的土地了，干嘛之类的这些东西这上面去，不要继续搞我的土地了本来就可以开发的，让我继续种起来。那我说不管怎么样当我讨回我的公平与正义之后这样讨回公道之后，那事真相出来之后，这样那我成功了，就是说讨回来公道了，那我以后也来协助他们这个协会，因为我想后面如果一旦我得回来了这些公道干嘛的话后面我能够发展我的土地干嘛，那后面我就可以很大力量去控制他们。现在我给他们3个单词，就是I need help because I'm a refugee as well. And today you help me, yes. And other day when I get back my fairness and justice and normal life, my children can get a fair normal life back. And I will control those. I can contribute your situation very good, because before I was very successful and very around the Philippines, and very rich and successful. And I am very good person. Yeah, very good, And but the police Australian police, persecute me at the time. So they cover up everything. I am model. I am model. And the victim say, where I dream. I don't know anything. And she wake up on the way to hospital. And she dreaming. And her mother beside of us said, I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. You are ridiculous. Anyway, there are hundreds of Taiwanese association leaders who ask the court to give me a trial. No way. No trial. Yes, how can you do that way? And today, police arrest me right now and charge me. They say they can't. I say, they ask me to get the solicitor. I say, if you arrest me and charge me, I don't need to pay solicitor fee. Yeah, I can say, I can make all the truth out in court. Yeah, but no, I said solicitor, scale police, and the legal aid can't help me. And I never ask settling, I never, yes. And I don't want, I won't. Anyway, even I don't have money, So today, I go outside every day, Monday to Friday. Now Sunday. Anyway, 5 days a week I go outside, and I have been here for 4 weeks. Every 5 days a week. Yeah. And now one day police yeah, they had to give me on Thursday evening. They asked me to they told me they are threatening on me. But I said I don't want you to threaten on me. I want you to arrest me. and they charge me because I damage your reputation. I insult your reputation. You have a reason. Yeah, and I can get a police charge, and I can make the whole school stop. Yeah, I said, I don't know why. Okay, because today, okay, but yeah, I think because I said I was very successful and rich people knows everything. Because they prosecute me, knows everything. And now only this one. People get a lot more. You see? Yeah, get a lot more, and I get my wealth somewhere else. And I can do way bigger than you. Because I like to do the thing, you know. I said, I was very, very good man, you know. I listen to my wife, everything. I feel everything what she wants. She asked me everything. I will follow it. You see, she tried to stop me, except to give 5% well, and the children. I said, the total, I said, for all family life, looting, every day, it's very normal, you know. I travel my kids to school, and I travel attending and building and everything. Saturday, I travel to my family, my wife and my kids to shopping, to play, you know, like a and the zoo and the Wonderland and the bush. Every Saturday we do the things. Even after I massage for my ex-wife twice a week, you know, everything is normal. How can she offer me 35% of wealth? I asked her, I said, you can ask her. I said, you ask her, you can ask her my children. And then no way. And then the coke. I said, no way. Because every year I complain to you, ask the solicitor, ask the ombudsman complain to you, and then you don't care, you don't ignore me, you know. And finally, you give back the 2,000 to me. No way. Now I don't accept it. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay. Okay. And when? Was it? Oh, every Friday. Okay. And then today, I said today, because yesterday there was a gentleman call me, and I come to ask you because I refugee as well. He said, and then I'm from Taiwan. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, I am break zone, so I belong to refugee as well. So today, he asked me to ask me, I one day, when I get my fairly justice, and I can because I will get my reputation on some state. I like to contribute a lot because later I can because before I was very successful and rich jeweler. Yeah, I run the jeweler shop. Yeah, and but it's one police. Police they kill me and the left shoot me. It's very funny. It's a long story. So today is 100 and it's live, Facebook live. So every day I come out for already and weeks. So I said and one day, okay, now I still will go. Come out every day. I don't do every day, 5 days a week. And one day I can get back to my family. And I will do because issue. Yeah. I think the police damage you. That's right, rob my leg. They damage you. You see, you're the marketing service. No one there to sign with no land. How can you do it? These are people. Yeah, and one day, I think you people is I like to be. I want to because the police can't do anything for me, and they say sorry for me. They say sorry. I said no, I want you arrest me. Touch me. They say. Take you back. Yeah, now my children, my daughter and son, they go, but they come accepted and very okay. Anyway, thank you very much. Yeah, okay.
Will you give me one?
Yeah, my name is Jack. Yes, and I have. Jack. Yes, I use it here. I am Jack because they have to. They say I have to use yeah because I'm Jack Chow, you know. And here you can see, and Jack Chow and mobile and yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Will you give me one newspaper? Yeah, I like one.
Good.
Thank you.
Oh, you got two. You got one already.
This one. Yeah, this is me.
This one is mine.
This is me. Thank you.
You can come on Friday as well if you want.
Yeah, I take one.
警察后面警察也让他入境，
他走了，
两个警察都走了，都走了，那就算了。
还没走远，还没走远。
就讲我讲说现在是什么事啊？现在因为我刚刚就讲啊，找他们嘛，他说你是 refugee 啊，他说你是难民吗？没有，他说你来自中国吗？我说不是啊。Excuse me, could you take give me support? Yes, because my case is a very big case. Anyway, all this they persecuted me and my children, and it's a long story. Very long. I need to get back my fairness and justice because before I was migrated 18 years ago, and I migrated here. Yeah, and it's from I arrived here 1987. Yeah, 1980. Yeah, 1980. Oh, your mom. Okay. And at that time, I come here and join my feminist business. Yeah, and at that time I independent. And I do my own business, jewelry. I run the jewelry shop. I was at the time I was very, very successful and rich man, children. And because I save money, I earn a lot of money, and I anyway, I save the money, And Australia economic is start from 1993, And the property, everything is go up very soon, and so I do very good investment, and then a lot of money at the time. Also, because I'm jealous. So I'm new like this. So, and then they talking towards me, and towards me and damage me. Anyway, okay, I lost. It's a long story. I know I'm murderer. I'm murderer. The week come, okay. You charge you attend the murder, doesn't matter. But the victim, she say, we are arguing. She just come back. He just came back outside from her mother, and she tried to provoke me and argue. And she said, from after argue, I went to the bedroom, take women, and she just started to dream. She dreamed, and I drive her to the hospital. On the way, she wake up, and her mother, beside of us, her mother said, I didn't see, I didn't hear anything. It's a killer, it's a murder. It's a very serious, big incident. And all of them, no statement. I said, okay, if you charge me, you charge me, you show later the truth out, all truth out. You give me trial. No. Okay. And before, when my wife, ex-wife, she got a pre-trial. She had pre, and then my barrister asked question her, why? What happened? She said, I'm dreaming. I don't remember anything. We are arguing, and then I started dreaming. And then my barrister questioned her, why you stay here? Why don't go away? I'm dreaming. And I asked her, question her many times, 5, 6 times. She only said, I'm dreaming. Okay, finally she want to say something out. Say the truth out. And then the judge said, stop. We have lunch time. No, we stop. Okay, we had the lunch first and come back. Okay, next time, don't mention anything. Anyway, prosecutor had to give me a trial. They all of the truth, incident progress, the whole progress, is the progress come out. Let me see what's happened. It's a plan, it's something, it's accident, and the jury can see, and the judge can see in court. But no way, because my English is no good. At the time, my English is no good. So they do anything. They say your ex-wife is a mental problem. She's a psycho. So we are Australia. We look after women more. Funny. Excuse. Okay, he put me under 1 year. So me, I'm innocent in this charge land. Yeah, I'm innocent. And then this one satisfy my ex-wife and pay me back and justice and fairness. And you are one thing, they didn't give me trial. You know, and like my children, my son and daughter. And now they are able, they can accept the truth because they say mother is evil, mother for the huge wealth. So mother set up, and then you say one thing. I told you first thing. Mother, I don't know what's happened. She robbed me 75% of wealth. It's a big, huge wealth. And then Okay. Okay, I don't know what he talked to the court. I don't know. But I said for our family life, all of normal, you know. And I didn't hit her. I didn't abuse her. I didn't argue her. No anything happened, you know. And our family very all normal, you know. And the court frozen, holding all of the wills, all the property, and asked my ex-wife, my wife at that time, hurry up, move out, and because the next time we live in a one bedroom with my kids, four people live in one room, yeah, every day, yeah, and hurry up, move out, and then separated for a year, and then you divorce and rob my 75% of the wealth. It's court told her. It's very funny. Okay, first time we went to the court. Okay, it's a young female judge who asked me, yeah, why you be here? I said, I don't know. Ask my ex-wife, why you are here? And she said, separate. I want to separate subdivided the property, divided the wealth. And the judge asked me, do you want to divorce? I said no. Ask my ex-wife, do you want to divorce? She said no. The young female judge, I upset. You are joking. You are playing here. Judge, the court is ending your marriage. Not the consultant, not the family consultant to solve your problem. We can together. I just say, okay, we're back home. When we're back home. Yeah, and the next time, one thing happened. The judge, young judge, yeah, female judge, she doesn't know how to do. Go out, went outside, back, went outside, back. Many times, you know, I believe she went out ask her. Yeah.
So we're going to miss our train soon, but do you want us to help you?
Yeah, it's the police, not the police.
Do you want me to take one?
Okay, police can do. Yeah, go to each. It's okay. I have a lot. I just tell you one thing. Okay, I say, hey. I said, you can ask my children. You should ask my children. Everything is normal. No fighting. I didn't hit I never hit my wife. And the children can do anything. Can prove it. And don't accept it. No. And another thing. Ask her. I said, you can ask my ex-wife, my wife's church, Christian church priest and member. They ask my church. No way. You can ask a wealthy government gentleman who's wealthy, look after my children. He can prove everything. No way. And the cause all got some incident. Okay, it caused incident between I and my ex-wife. So you should give me trial. No way. Because your English is no good.
I'll try to help him when but we have to go.
So sorry, because long story, you don't have time.
Because we saw you before and we were like, oh, we wanted to help you and support you. But
yeah, because I outside.
Good job. Like, I'm proud that you're doing this. Good job. Keep fighting. Yeah?
Even policemen who say, yeah, good job. He said they were mad. You happy. You do your way.
Yeah, you do your way.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, because yeah, I can't say very clear, you know. Even Chinese, I can say 5 to 6 years, and then make a bit clear. Yeah. So thank you. Okay, thank you. 哎，口好渴，因为这个东西啊不能，我讲啊哈，你那个先放进去。你先放进去再说，不要妨碍你的。来，帮我辅导一下。 他们两个现在我就讲嘛，站出来有好事的，因为什么说就在外面走有好处？因为他们两个是常常看到我，所以他们今天过来恭送我，希望看能不能帮到我。就一件事，我刚才讲很难讲，尤其是女孩子他们看能不能帮到。They are bitch. They are old called bitch. And the hammer, you know. Yeah. And the rich NAB bank stole my $30,000. They are bitch. Thief. 我说，然后再来这两个女生，我不想讲太，其实不是，因为我说我一讲到什么东西就，因为又牵导到女人嘛，然后又牵导到谋杀嘛。这些字对他们来说太强烈，他们年轻女孩子太强烈，你知道，所以很难讲。可是我又不知道要讲哪一段他想知道，所以说这很困难的，非常非常困难但是不管怎么样，不管怎么样的总而言之，现在。我就继续做下去，因为警方拿我没辙，都叫我去找人。我想，我找人是白搭。今天很简单一件事，我去找律师那些东西是没有用的今天只有一件事，大众知道的，你警方也盖不住了，你法院也盖不住，你什么地方都盖不住，你银行也盖不住了。对我讲，银行偷我3万块钱，是银行偷不是经理偷银行跟经理有什么差别？经理是个人，他有贪欲，他偷了还没话说把他抓出来就好。银行偷，银行为什么要偷？那么有钱的地方他也偷这3万块钱干嘛？破坏他们名誉，他们要偷干嘛？后面就是就是在他们后面。所以现在我弄出来了，走出来，警察问我，跟他说。而且今天我也要求警方逮捕我干什么？但是他们来讲，他们只是很友善而已，我也不能对你怎么样。反正他们错了嘛，他知道错了，不是他，是前面的18年前的警方错了。那对他们来讲的话，他们什么也不能做，就只有一件事情，除非我就是从法律上面去得到。你跟我先照一下，救火车。因为这个是尸体尸体因为到处都是丢脸，人又多，那很自然的，当然有的时候会出现这个车子，警车也好，救护车也好，都会出现一下，都会吵一下。可是我们刚刚在这边多久时间？有几次？你记得有几次吗？这一次第一次还是第二次？
救火车就第一次。
我是说前面还有一次警车的声音，对不对？
对。
就是说会有2次。现在我们在这边呢，大概多少个钟头？2-3个钟头吧。大概就是这样。所以在这边尸体人这么多，对，一想起来的话，如果有警车、有救护车、救火车的话，我们就会听到。可是在这边很少都听到，在我们那边郊区的话，更是会困难听到的，根本因为。救护车他们人不放警报器，他们就不放，警车也是这样，都不会放警报器。像现在救火车还会来，因为如果是真的火警的话，会接连好几部会回来。这样我的意思说，在他们能不放就不放，所以他不要免得扰民。可是我住的地方就不是，我住的哪里马上就来骚扰我就对了，很过分。但只有一件事情。就刚刚那2个女生跟她讲话，因为当我讲到我的前妻的时候，这个时候有个女生脸色已经在变，变得不好看，因为说实在，身为女人这个她们2个看起来也是，不要说化了一些妆了，也是漂漂亮亮的，就对了，年轻的女孩子，大概就像我的女儿这个年纪吧，或比我女儿大一点点吧，在这样的一个情况，
警车，
所以说所以讲就是这样， 我想刚刚讲什么？所以说他们听了，哇，你跟你的妻子也知道出事情了呀，对他们来讲的话，不是很想听下去。啊，那我讲的话，我是选择性的，怎么办？话都讲出来了，那整部接下去也不行啊，不继续讲完也不行啊。但是讲的他们，对不对？怎么样可以把这个给避掉，也是困难的。但无论如何，不管怎么样，总是有人来关心，都表达了嘛。后面走下去，现在差就差的国际观光客，光是澳洲这边的啊，因为我说敌人在哪，我的敌人在哪里不知道，我的敌人在哪里不知道。想想看，台湾这边多少台独分子在这边的，对，那台湾那边那么多台独分子要对付我，那我看会更困难。那我讲得道多助，今天天不灭我，神不灭我的话，那我后面自然会得到，我们就走下去了。可是我就天天这样走啊，总有一天，就像这些 refugee 是一样的，他们在这边做什么的啊？你告诉你，不用比。我想现在都是新冠肺炎，那并不想拿这个是真的，所以我想我会给人家是比较困难的啊，给人家我这个报纸是比较困难的啊，他们只来看怎么回事，然后现在再来一件事情就是啊，我说我就继续走下去了，就用这方式往下走，然后每个礼拜啊都会出来5天，就是这样，有一段时间让大家看。啊，有一天，澳洲警方、澳洲政府受不了的时候，这个时候就会出来。
今天3点半收吗？我们去哪里？回去那里。我们回去那。
我们回去那边。
在这里也不错啊。是啊，这里也不错啊。
基本上，澳洲它的警察也好，救护车也好，他们做都是基本上这种做法是他们比较标准的做法，看到没有？他们会闪了警车在走路，在开车，他们不要制造噪音，对不对？这是澳洲尽量都会这样做，尽量少制造噪音。但是在我家那边，噪音那么多，但是问题是那不是警车，那是救护车。因为警车没那么大功夫，哪弄警车啊？警车都在外面执行勤务，那边没有，对，那只有救护车可以刻意的转到我边过去。好，我们回去啊，回到那边去。
错。错。错。错。过去啊，过去。
Review of a night before, that's a bit, yeah.
不给一份报纸他看， 不行。今天这里的人多了，今天下午的人多啊，刚好啊。
这人多，我们也半个钟头死。差不多。再过一个。有一天，这样子打哈，我说有一天呢哈，他们就必须澳洲警方要正视我的事情，不要再作假，是怎么样就是怎么样，没有计划啊，没有重伤害，什么都没有。你可以这样子设计的，太过分了。今天早上那个刚刚开始的时候，一个年轻人来，可能他也是警察啦。这样说起来的话，因为他们在那边有东西嘛，有活动啊，就是那些叫维权的啊，那可能叫维权吧 ，refugee 就难民的维权这些人啊哈，在那边做，所以这个人跑过来，他跑过来一定要给我加一个SOME 啊，他这样子的话比较公平，对警察比较公平一些。但是不管怎么样，这是全体警察的事情。那时间到了，就让他全部都出来吧。啊，如让事情过去没关系，我受害也就受害了。最好的人生，40多岁到60岁，啊。应该40多岁到55岁啊，这一段时间是最好的人生。但是现在我已经60了，没有关系，受到灾难就受到灾难。那我的孩子20多岁，他们要得到一个正常和美好的人生，所以这件事情要打下去，就是要继续，就是说把事情全部公告出来。到底怎么回事？公告出来啊！到底我在破坏澳洲什么东西啊？这些东西他弄出来。我不是一个危害政府的事情，我们不会讲那些的。这样子干，这样子搞，这样子毁我的家，因为把我塑造成国际恐怖分子，这个时候才能够全方位的骚扰。而这个时候会勾起我前妻 他的贪欲的，他的邪恶之心会被勾起来的，所以才能够做这些事情。因为我自信我是个好丈夫、好父亲，还有我是个家里面的好儿子跟好弟弟。人生嘛，我本来个性就很好，人品很好，又是不争的个性。但是家族里面有些纷争干嘛这些灾难的话，好吧，能帮助就帮助。我自己的小家庭我会保护，我的孩子要我会保护。这就是我所做的，而我也尽力去做这些事情。但是如果是这样迫害我，说实在的，澳洲警方、澳洲政府，你们要这样来迫害我的话，来谋杀我的意思，就直接来谋杀我就算了。你把我杀了，不就是一了百了了吗？反正警方要杀人的方式，我如果真要的话，那个道很多的，而且找个人先看精神病，然后准备好了杀了我不犯法，他也没事啊，因为他有精神病上面的记录啊，没有事情。只是说澳洲警方没有动我，大概他们还是有良知啦，他不会知道不会再做到底的啦。虽然我已经出来，我什么都不怕了。我也剩下最后一点点钱了，这个时候他们知道了，当然还要看他们把我钱给搞光了，把我钱给消灭掉的时候，那时候我也只能自杀，我也不可能有其他路子，那就看哪件事情会先发生了。
好。
4点，
到点了没有？
现在3点半。
现在结束还是怎么样
？4点钟结束。
4点钟结束。
人这么多，对不对？多点。其实每天都来，算了，结束了。
结束了。
因为每天都会来嘛。
是啊。
没有差了。天天做的事情，等一下。
找一个地方。
在这边。这样啊，因为本来想做到4点人这么多的， 但是也没差了，因为天天都会出来的。那尽管今天人多，都不一样的人，都是观光客干嘛，那也是一样。今天就到这边就结束了，谢谢你们了。等一下，我看一下是谁。来，你来关闭。现在关闭，结束。OK， 谢谢啊。